Welcome, my name is Z. I'll be your host for the Framework Developer Bootcamp. This show is for people who want to become web or mobile developers. Really, anyone who wants to learn programming will learn about new technologies and coding techniques each show. My goal for this show is to give you a taste of the kind of work developers do and the tools we use for every project. Today, we're going to learn how to host a static website using Amazon Web Services, or AWS. Amazon Web Services is a collection of services hosted on Amazon's cloud infrastructure. Services such as server hosting, database hosting, file storage, and many more. In this session, we'll be using the AWS Simple Storage Service, or S3, to host a static web page that others can access. During each episode of Framework, I'll be inviting you to follow along with me. As you're watching, don't be afraid to pause the video or watch it more than once so you can enter the code or type in the commands right along with me. Thanks for watching Framework. Let's get started. For this session, we're going to need to create an Amazon Web Services account. Know that this is different than the regular Amazon account that you may have, even though they're both by Amazon. To create an account, go ahead and click Create a Free Account and follow the instruction. Note that you will be required to provide a credit card. And here's a quick note on the cost. When we first sign up for an AWS account, we get a lot of freebies. For example, for S3, we get 5 GB of storage and 20 million GET requests per month. A GET request is whenever the user requests one of the files we put up, such as the HTML or CSS file. 20 million GET requests are a lot. So unless your website becomes wildly popular, it's not likely that you will exceed that quota. So in the case that your website becomes that popular, Amazon will be charging you for usage exceeding that quota. After the first year, Amazon is going to start charging you as well. But depending on how many users your website gets, it may still be less expensive. As little as a few pennies a month to put your website on S3, comparing to other alternatives such as hosting yourself or on other clouds. You can find more information about the pricing on aws.amazon.com/s3/pricing. So once you've created an account and signed in, this is the screen that you'll be on. This is the AWS Management Console, where all the services are listed and you can access them through here. So to get to S3, we can simply type in S3 at the top in the search bar. And that will bring us to the S3 Management Console. Here, we'll create a bucket that will host our files. A bucket in S3 is similar to a folder on your computer. However, it's important to know that each bucket has a unique URL that's used to access that bucket, as well as its own set of permissions and settings. So you want to organize your files based on their similarity on how they're to be accessed. So here we're going to create a bucket by clicking Create Bucket. And note that the bucket name needs to be DNS compliant. If you don't understand what that means, that's okay. Just type in whatever you want and it'll tell you if any of the characters are not compliant. So here I'm going to type my name. I'm going to click Next. And now we're on Set Properties. We can leave all of these as default and click Next. So on the Set Permissions page, in Manage Public Permissions, we want to make sure that we select Grant Public Read Access to this bucket, because we want the public to be able to read our files. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to access our websites. They may give you a warning that says this bucket will have public read access, which is fine. That's exactly what we want. So click Next. And click Create Bucket. So now we have a bucket to hold our files. Notice I also have other buckets here, but that's my own buckets. And before this, I've created 2 web HTML pages. One called about.html and one called index.html. So the index.html has a very simple header and a paragraph, as well as the link that leads me to the about page. In the about.html, I have a header and a table that has some of my information, as well as a link to the home page. So I will be uploading these two files to the bucket that I created. You're welcome to create your own HTML files. Okay, to upload to the bucket, let's open it first. And then we're going to click Upload on the top left-hand side. Here, we're going to choose Add Files. And we're going to select the files we're going to upload. And here we're going to select Next. And here, in Manage Public Permissions, we want to make sure that we select Grant Public Read Access to these objects again, like we did with the bucket. Then once we set this, click Next. We don't need to change any of the default properties. So click Next and Upload. Should be 2 files. There we go. So now we have our files in the bucket, but the world can't see them as web pages yet. You can access them as documents, but you cannot see them as web pages. There's one more thing we need to do. We need to go to Properties, and here there's an option called Static Web Hosting. Click on it, and by default, the web hosting is disabled. So we want to select use this bucket to host a website. And we want to specify the default document that's going to be rendered when users go to this URL. So in my case, I'm going to put index.html as the default. We don't have an error document, which is fine because it's optional. And we don't need to put any redirection rules. So once we have that set, click Save. And our website is live. To take a look at the website, we could go back to static web hosting. And there's an endpoint URL. So once you click on it, you're brought to the page. You can click the links, and it should bring you to the other page. There it is, your first web page hosted on AWS. In this session, we created a simple static web page and hosted the page on AWS S3. See, wasn't that easy? Before AWS S3 came along, people looking to host static web content had to go through the tedious task of setting up and maintaining file servers. Now, it's as simple as selecting the files, uploading them, and you're done. If you enjoy this show, why not give the Framework Professional Developer Program a shot? We help you become a professional developer in as little as 20 weeks. Our program is online, but everyone in the program has their own instructor, so your questions are always answered. You can try the program for free. Just sign up at learntoprogram.tv/p/try-framework. See you next time.